Oh, that's so much better. Oh my goodness gracious. Hello composer, Zach Heyde here, hope you're all doing well, and today we're gonna do a little Halloween special. So I wanted to do something involving The Nightmare Before Christmas by Danny Elfman, which is an incredibly iconic soundtrack for Halloween, but I couldn't figure out which piece I actually wanted to select from the soundtrack. So instead, I'm gonna collect my thoughts on what I think make that music sound like that music in the first place, and then we'll actually do a little composition, kind of integrating all those little elements together. As always, if you find this video inspiring or fun, you can leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this. So because I want to avoid any copyright strikes or takedowns, I'm not playing any of Danny Elfman's music here, but I will link it in the description for reference. Now, in studying Danny Elfman's music, I noticed a lot of commonalities of The Nightmare Before Christmas. One of them is the really extensive use of woodwinds, particularly the upper and lower woodwinds. This kind of creates this exaggerated, almost comical sound, but it also just colors the section really nicely. So for example, you'll notice a lot of like bassoons in the lower register. And then sometimes you'll even notice some piccolo lines up on the top to support that. So when you take those two on their own, they don't really fill in the registers, but when you have them played together, separated by that huge octave register, you grab that and you pop that a couple octaves below. You get a bit of a comical sound. It almost sounds a little piratey to me, actually, which is interesting, but I think it's sort of that just whimsical sound that works really well. Now, also another characteristic that I noticed in a lot of his music was the use of some pitched percussion instruments. Celeste was a very common one. I think that's to sort of associate the Christmas sound in Night Before Christmas. It has that kind of delicate sound that we associate with Christmas. You also do have xylophones, which we sometimes characterize as sounding like bones, and I think that's the idea, is it's a bit more macabre sounding, but not in a really, really dark and spooky way. Also, you notice that xylophone roll, that's a really common technique as well that gets used. So there's another element. We also obviously have harp and all the other typical orchestral instruments. Use of tremolo in strings, really common kind of spooky, shimmery effect. Now I'm actually using an ensemble patch for this, and you'll notice it sounds very full, but in this instance, sometimes for mock-ups, I would actually even lean towards using just an individual string instrument like violin, and that's because it thins out the sound a little bit. Instead of having all the instruments play tremolo, you're just having one section. If you want that to sound even thinner or spookier, you could use what's called sul ponticello tremolo, and they're basically doing a tremolo at a different part in their string instrument. So it's a little bit closer to the bridge, and it gives it that kind of metallic sound to it. And then lastly, we haven't really talked about the brass, but the brass is obviously a big factor. A lot of Danny Elfman's music in Nightmare Before Christmas has this kind of oompa sound, this marchy or polka sound to it. And so for that, obviously we'd want to use tubas, because tubas kind of carry that low register. Right? And we also have French horns. Typically with brass, you'll have one instrument kind of taking the boom, 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 1 and 3. And then you'll have another instrument taking that 2 and 4. So you'd have boom, chuck. You could also have trombones, which have a bit more of a nasally register to it. So if we were doing that, we'd have maybe tuba. This is super basic, but you get the idea. And you might have trombones doing... And that gets your idea. So you have all those boom chucks going on in there. Now these are all just disparate elements, but obviously we have to make a piece of music to make all of this cohesive, and we'll see which techniques we actually wind up using. So let's also talk about the harmony of Danny Elfman. Now, obviously I'm just kind of making blanket statements about all of this, the orchestration arrangement. He's much more nuanced than this, but one thing I've noticed is kind of the transition between disparate minor chords. So you might notice... all these elements, basically what I'm doing is I'm looking for common tones or common chords or just neighboring chords. So for example, let's say we're in D minor. I could use any one of these notes to then pivot to a new minor chord. So maybe I could take the D and now pivot to a B minor chord. And you then use voice leading essentially to bridge the two. So instead of doing this, I might do this. Now maybe I'll take this F sharp and find a new minor chord, maybe E flat minor. So then we have, maybe I now use the B flat on the top to go to G. And so now we have this kind of like whirlwind of minor chords that feels kind of sinister and macabre. Another technique that's really good that gives that kind of creepy feeling is diminished chords. So diminished chords are stacked minor thirds. And they also help you pivot nicely between other chords. So you can use things like this. So maybe we do... That's another common rocking technique that Danny Elfman uses. So that's one element. The other element, like I talked about, is using this kind of oompa thing. And to make that more interesting, usually it's good to introduce some space. If you remember this piece. Hear how there's that space in between the phrases? That just kind of breaks it up a little bit and stops it from being too redundant and blocky. So let's integrate all of this and kind of come up with a sketch. I'm going to do a piano sketch because it's easier to orchestrate from a sketch generally. And let's just come up with something. So maybe we'll kind of do a little hybrid. Let's start with something like... So something kind of, I could see that as being like a Celeste line, so maybe. Let's actually now, let's do that minor thing we're talking about. So let's go. So let's start with that. And let's make it a little bit slower in tempo. So. That's kind of a nice start. And then maybe... that could be our intro. Let's get that down. That's pretty good. And we're introducing a little space in there. Done, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4. So we'll introduce a 2/4 measure in there. And then let's just maybe go to that oompa thing, so. Set it up. We'll do another 2/4 in there. Like it's finding its footing. And then maybe one more. And then let's go. This is a classic Danny Elfman in this piece. If you remember, da 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 da. It's basically like a flat 2. So let's actually kind of borrow that. And let's pivot again. Modulation is really important because it helps to kind of sustain interest. So instead of back to F sharp minor, let's go to D minor, and let's really start picking it up. And then maybe a 2-4 there. You know, we're just kind of experimenting a little bit. Let's do... I love this chord. Half diminished. Okay. We'll probably need a melody on top of this or it's going to get a little boring. So we'll work on that next. Let's hear where we're at so far with this little idea. Ooh, yeah. That's interesting. I need more movement in here because this chunking, doom chunk, is just gonna get too stale if I don't have more movement in the melody. So. And then we could do rum. And then maybe we'll have like bum. So we'll have like a hit, and then we'll have it just kind of sustain out and just kind of fade. So bum. And I can picture some orchestration for this. As you're working on a piano sketch, by the way, it is good to think about the orchestration. You don't want to write like you're writing for piano. You're writing with the orchestra in mind and using this kind of as taking short-handed notes, basically. So I have some ideas on what I want to do for the orchestration. I think this works for me, and it's good enough to get started. Short little piece. I think this is maybe clocking around just shy of a minute, but it's plenty to work with. So let's work first with our little, I can see Celeste being this, obviously, so. It's a little high, but maybe we can make that work. We could also invert it, so. But let's actually just play with the registers. Let's exaggerate a little bit, so. Maybe we have the Celeste down here and we have the tremolo up higher. So let's try that. We may not have the Celeste going all the way through. But this is just a marker. Okay, now let's do what I was talking about before, which is those violin tremolos. Sometimes I'll actually just use an ensemble patch just for ease. Let's give it a try. Okay, so this is gonna be too much. So let's actually just do the lower 2 lines first. I think that works. Now let's just double and just get that upper violin line. Da, 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 da. Might need a little support from a woodwind instrument to kind of accent that a little bit. Okay. Why don't we try a flute and see if that's overpowering or not? I think that actually sounds good. I could also see potentially oboe, but that's pretty high up. So maybe we'll save that for the next section. Da, 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 na, 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 na. Let's try it. Alternatively, we could get English horn to do it an octave below. I think I'm partial to that. Beautiful. I think that sounds great. And then we got to decide, do we want to have that upper octave supported still? I think so. Let's keep the upper octave light with a flute. Okay. Now, I'd also like to fill in when it goes down. Da, 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 wah, da, 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 da. So let's actually have, let's see. We have oboe and clarinet available to us. Let's fill it in with oboe and clarinet. So I'm just filling in the missing voicings. And if you couldn't tell what the voicings are, it's okay. Just sometimes pull up the piano roll and just double check here and you can get an idea of what you're missing. Okay. I think that it's kind of obscuring when the melody comes in on the here. Da, da, da. So let's just have those harmonies start here. Now see, we're missing a voicing actually. There we go. Okay, now to fill this in even more, I think we could actually use some pizzicato bass, as well as maybe some harp rolls to kind of fill in that line. So let's first figure out our bass line that we're gonna use. Just something walking kind of. Pretty good. Maybe the whole time through. We'll just keep it simple. So. Okay, now watch what happens when I use harp to actually fill that in. So we're gonna do maybe blum, blum, blum. Okay, now I'm not going to quantize that. Also, shameless plug, if you like this harp sound, this is actually my own custom harp, which I have available on my website, zachheyde.com. I'll link that in the description so you can check it out. I personally love this harp. I've been using it for everything. I hope I'd like it, because I made it. Okay. Little support, I think, in bassoons. Okay. Then lastly, for the intro, let's just get some maybe cymbal swells, maybe some Mark tree just for some shimmer, and maybe a triangle. So let's start off like it's a magic fairy tale. Okay. Okay, accents, I think, on da-da-da-da, boom. Just really subtle. Okay, and then maybe some cymbal swelling to just set it up. A little shorter. And then at the end. Actually, nah. We'll just keep that empty. Okay, now we can move on to the next section. Let's start with the melody, actually. I think that would be a good way to go, because we want to figure out what we have available to us in the accompaniment. Da-dum. We kind of already use English horn as a dominant instrument, but let's still use, I think, maybe a wind instrument. Bassoon? Maybe bass clarinet would be kind of fun. We'll do bassoon and bass clarinet. And they're gonna drop out there, I think, just for fun. So we'll get a little lead in. So now we know what we're using. So we'll stay away from the wind section, I think, for accompaniment. Let's maybe do... I could picture, like, muted trumpets doing the offbeats. Cha, cha. Kind of have a nice sharp sound to them. Okay. We want this to feel kind of lumbering. Okay, let's mute that. Let's see. Really nice technique with muted trumpets for offbeats is like a very quiet, dampened cymbal. Like that. And let's see. Maybe we could probably do strings, at least in the low register for this. You know, I sort of feel like I actually want to save the muted trumpets and the cymbals for the next part. Because we're going to D minor, right? Yeah. It's too sharp, you know? Okay, so maybe we'll do something a little less aggressive for the first time. Cymbal's just there. Okay, we'll get to there in a second. So let's just do, let's see, maybe trombones. That's nice, simple. Done. Do do. Oh, do. Definitely need some percussion to support this. Now, is that enough? What if we doubled the trombones with muted French horns? That could be a nice, just kind of side color. Maybe actually here. So do. Yeah, I could see this working. Doom, thump. Is timpani too much, maybe? No, I actually think it's nice. keep that quiet. Yeah. So we'll do a kind of maybe snare, we'll see. No, we'll save that. Maybe Harp Run. And I've talked about this before, but I usually just scale quantize or just move the notes manually. I could sort of maybe see xylophone going in this next part too. I don't know if it's gonna be melody or accompaniment. Dun, dun. I do know I want blum, bum, bum to be lower strings and probably maybe woodwinds. We could just set that up. A little more lumbering. Okay. Can probably copy that over. Sometimes I'll copy paste over. Dun, da, da, dum. That sounded like Danny Elfman now. Dum, ba, da, dum. And we could probably even speed up the tempo as this thing goes along, because it's feeling a little too slow. Just very gradually. We don't need that second one. Dun da da dum dum bum bum ba da da bum bam. I could see that being maybe strings and some upper woodwinds, maybe. I think some like runs. So winds are really good for this because they can give you a little clum. So I'm using Hollywood winds for those runs. See, this is great. This is where xylophone can really accent. A little late. Dun, da, da, dum. Let's try that. See what happens. So maybe if we have actually the harp, instead of doing that run in the beginning, it just to kind of fill in that space. Yeah, I think that could work. Something like that. And maybe even Celeste too. I wonder actually if we even need the harp then if we're doing that. So maybe just the offbeats? And that sets us up for the nice kind of ending. Maybe a... something like that. Something like that'll work. Now, we do need to figure out the melody here. I wonder if this would be nicer if it was the contrabassoon, separated by the octave, you know? I think that works, but now we need to make sure that we don't clutter up the bass register. So let's see if we need to actually push the tuba up an octave. Or maybe down? I think we could actually use a string run there. Maybe. Maybe? That's interesting. Dun 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 bum. I think that could work. Ah, there we go. That's it. That's the one. Oh, that's so much better. Oh my goodness gracious. It just takes a little time. Dun, 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 dun. Now maybe we can save ourselves a little time because it's the same rhythm. Bum, 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 bum. I do kind of feel like we probably need that doubled with some wind instrument. Unless we actually have the trumpets do the melody. Let's try that. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's so much better. And maybe we could have the winds do just like the sort of fluttery parts, so like the trill and the rip. So basically just coloring everything, you know? Just the first one. So now we need the trombones kind of really pushing out. Blum. We do. We need a little supportive accent there. Maybe instead of timpani, we'll do snare drum. Yeah, and we'll start it here. Big accent. Now that harp is doing such a cool little like... Oh, not the harp, sorry, the Celeste. I feel like we should get that doubled somewhere else, like maybe the violas. We'll assume the violins are doing their little line in unison. Just for some, like, we don't really have any support in the lower register yet, or the middle register. That'll work for now. And what are the winds doing? Because I feel like we could maybe utilize clarinet 1 to cover the exact same thing. That works. What if we don't do... God. Haha, there we go. So we're filling in that space. Okay, I think this is pretty close, actually. Let's give it one more listen and see what is missing, if anything. Okay, I think really, really close. I have a couple thoughts. The beginning, I think, could use maybe like something in the English horn. Let's see. I need some support for like the descending chromatic motion. Let's see if we can do bassoon. You know, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe here? Something, I don't know, it just felt like it needed something. Make sure that doesn't screw up any of our registers here. I think we're good. Maybe a really quiet timpani roll at the end. And I wasn't sure about that triangle. Like, maybe we just leave it blank. Dun, dun, dun. How about a ride cymbal hit? Need a little support on those muted horns. We could do tremolo there too. Or maybe trill? Maybe the timpani goes up an octave. And we do a swell. Right, and we need definitely need yum. I'm gonna use Ensemble Patches to save time. We're just gonna do a big. Okay, we need more articulation. More articulation of the last chord. So we'll do like a. What happened to our horns too? Cover that. Bum bum bum. A little tip, when you have brass going, you don't really need to do too many of the other voicings with the other instruments like strings and winds because brass is going to dominate those chords. So you can just really have brass carry that. You can hear that chord pretty articulately just from the brass. Maybe make this a little louder. Let's make these actually. That'll work. We're pretty darn close. Little xylophone roll there. Bum, bum, ba-yum. We'll do a little roll. Okay, I think we're just about there. I think we're there, actually. I'm gonna leave it right as is because I think it's good enough. So we're gonna give this a final listen, and before I do that, if you wanna see the MIDI for this, it's available to download to all of my Patreon members at the $10 level and up. Thank you all so much for helping to make these videos possible. I couldn't do it without you. And as always, if you enjoy this, you can buy me a coffee in the description, or leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks again, let's give it a final listen. So there you have it. If you have other soundtrack suggestions you'd like me to kind of take a look at, you can leave them in the comments below. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.